One of the things that I saw you talk about on one of your most recent videos was like the statistics between the civil rights era and now. And
that was what I was going to bring up is like historically, we could still say, and we want to note that the Black community has had a difficult relationship with law enforcement. And so we don't want to just wash that all away and erase that. So it would be good to maybe compare and contrast historically where we were and where we are now.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. And that's something that I understand the history. There is, and the history, especially in association with slavery and Jim Crow and the civil rights movement, that there is a lack of trust that many people of color, in Black, brown, and particularly Black folks have when it comes to the police. And that's understandable. My question would be, when we have that, if we still assume that the police can't be trusted, my question is coming to that conclusion a good conclusion based on where we are now? So what I usually like to go over, and this is from a study done by the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. And this study was done in 2014. And the title of the study is "Who Are the Police Killing?" So the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice isn't a rah-rah go police organization. They take a stance that is, during this study, they still believe that the police are harming Black people in particularly at a disproportionate rate. But I believe that based on this study that they put together, the information that they gathered, they kind of pulled a rug out from their own argument. From information that they gathered from the Center for Disease Control, on the first page states that the rate of police killings of African Americans has fallen by 70% over the last 40 to 50 years, 70%. And then we go even deeper when we start digging into age ranges, because typically younger men, 25 to 40, or even teenagers to 40, have more contacts with the police and end up in trouble more often. So in the late 1960s, nearly 100 Black men under the age of 25 were killed by the police every year.
Wow.
But as the Black population overall, now keep this in mind, the Black population overall has doubled since the late 1960s. But at the same time, there's been a rate decline as far as Black men under the age of 35 that are killed by the police of 79%, nearly 80% decline, including the fact that our population has doubled. So there are more of us and it's reduced. And there's also, when you look at 25-year-old African-American men, the decline as far as since the 60s, as far as the police killing us, has decreased by over 60%, 61%. So when we look at the numbers, and also I have a bit of information right here, and this is just taking one jurisdiction. This is the NYPD. In 1972, they had 994 shootings. And this one goes to 2010. And they said, so from 1972, and this is before some of the use of force case law that is in effect now, Graham versus Connor, Tennessee versus Garner. We can go into that a little bit more detail as we progress. So in 1972, there were 994 police shootings, and there were 66 fatal shootings. And this is just the NYPD alone. In 2010, that number dropped down to 93 and 8 fatal shootings. Wow. And I also read a recent article, because the NYPD puts out information every year as far as their use of force. In 2019, December 13th, I think was the date of the article, there were 26 police shootings. So we go from 1972, nearly 1,000 shootings, to today, close to today, 26. Don't tell me that things are getting worse when it comes to the police and their treatment of Black folks. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think most of the time, I think what we're dealing with nowadays are many of us who don't have the time to do the research and check the data. We're being manipulated by people who are in positions of power, whether it be the mainstream media or certain political pundits or whoever they may be, who are seeking to manipulate those of us in the Black community to keep us angry. And how do you do it? You emphasize and you highlight every time a Black man is shot. Every time a Black person is shot or mistreated or beaten or whatever the case may be, you highlight that and you report that over and over again. And after a while, you start thinking that this happens all the time. But in all actuality, it doesn't happen all the time.